A Long Walk to Water by Linda C. Park. Presentation by Lori Bowling. Icebreaker. I'll have my students carry a weighted bucket up and down the hallway. Then I'm going to have them respond in their notebook. What did it feel like to carry this bucket? Imagine you had to carry it in the heat, the desert, for 12 plus hours a day. What do you imagine that would feel like? What would you have to give up in order to carry that bucket? I will then explain to the students that this is what young girls had to do every day, but the container would be filled with water, and they would have to walk miles and miles, hours and hours in scorching heat to reach a water source. Also, they probably would not have any shoes, and if they did, they would not be in good shape. Anticipation activity before you read the story. Ask students these questions. Students can discuss with a partner or with the entire class. This activity will introduce students to the topics and themes covered in this book. Do you agree or disagree with these statements? Explain. A leader is born, not made. Water is our most precious resource. Humans will act poorly if there are no laws. You must take care of yourself before you can take care of others. Then I would show them this short little video on the book trailer of A Long Walk to Water. Purpose, importance. Reading books about people from other cultures will increase cultural awareness and help us become more respectable towards people with different backgrounds and perspectives. It is crucial to be exposed to those who might be different than you, because we will often sympathize with others once we've become familiar with them. Research on prejudice shows that coming in contact with people who are different, so-called others, helps to reduce stereotypes. This is because when we see people who initially seem different, we learn about them and get closer to them through their story. The other seems less far away and, well, less otherly. But while it may be ideal for children to actually meet people from different backgrounds in person, if that isn't possible, books can serve as a first introduction to the outside world. If we had more diverse children's books featuring a broad range of characters in many different jobs and situations, as well as more diverse role models in the media, young people would feel empowered and they'd believe that when they grow up, they could be anyone and do anything they wanted. And they'd look at their friends and think the same for them, and they'd grow up respecting and appreciating everyone's talents. A Long Walk to Water was written by Linda C. Park. The publisher is Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. The publication date was in 2010. The plot summary is when the Sudanese Civil War reaches his village in 1985, 11-year-old Salva becomes separated from his family and must walk with another Dinka tribe members through southern Sudan, Ethiopia, and Kenya in search of a safe haven. Based on the life of Salva Dutt, who, after immigrating to the to America in 1996 began a project to dig water wells in Sudan. There's also a second story going on about Naya and her family and the distance that she had to walk to get water so that her family would have water to drink. Pre-reading activity. What do you know about the continent of Africa? I would ask my students this question and ask them if they had ever traveled to this place. Do they know any famous people from Africa? Have you watched any movies that have taken place in this country? We would then look at the map and I would show my students where Africa is located in the world and then where Sudan is. Then I would do this warm-up activity before I began Chapter 1 and look at some Tier 3 words, thorns, dress, and bush. And then we would have some deep thought. In Sudan, rebels have been fighting a war against the government. In a democratic society, there are many ways to show disagreement with the government. Brainstorm ways citizens can disagree with their government and elected officials in a democracy. And then from the book, look at the map of Sudan, note the dotted line, preview the text. What do you notice? Then I would show them this short video of the Lost Boys of Sudan, and we would look at this walking route map. During reading activity. During reading, we will gather textual evidence. Then we will discuss the theme. One of the themes in this book is people survive challenging situations in remarkable ways. Then we will discuss the essential question, how do people survive in challenging situations? And we'll discuss this as a whole group. And then we will discuss important vocabulary words that we have read or we are about to read. And I'll ask the students, and we will discuss them at the end of the chapter. I'll ask them questions about what's going on in the story and important questions that they need to know. After that, I'm going to put the students in groups and have them go back through each chapter as we read and create a chart that details the setting and the characters in each of those chapters. And then we're going to come back whole group and discuss that. During reading, I'm going to also show them the National Geographic expeditions outline maps of Sudan, Africa, and the world, and we're going to mark the routes that the Lost Boys took from Sudan to Ethiopia to Kenya to Belgium and then finally to the United States. And then I'm going to show them this video that discusses Africa's clean water and why it's important for the people of Africa to have the clean water. After reading, I'm going to have my students get out their notebook and we're going to answer the following questions. I'm going to have them answer these in their notebooks. I think the hardest part about walking all day to get water would be, my favorite part of the book was, I was sad or upset when, I was surprised when, my favorite character was, my favorite activity with the book was, if I had less access to clean water, the hardest thing to give up would be, this book made me want to learn more about what. And then I'm going to have them discuss these with a partner. I'm also going to show these two videos, one of which is a conversation between Linda Sue Park, the author, and Salva Dutt. And then a TEDx youth video of I Kept Walking by Salva Dutt.
My new book, A Long Walk to Water, is based on the true story of a family friend named Salva Dutt. Salva was born and raised in southern Sudan, and at the age of 11, he was separated from his family by war. There's also a second story of a girl named Naya who lives in Sudan today. I set part of the story in 1985 and part of it in 2008 to give American readers some idea of what's been happening in Sudan over the last generation, which I think far too few of us know about. I was inspired to write A Long Walk to Water by Salva Dutt and learning about his life's work today, which is with an organization that drills water wells in southern Sudan for villages where there has never been a supply of clean water. Learning about him and his life is enough to make you want to say, well, how can I help?
Linda Sue is a wonderful lady. When I met her husband, and her husband invited me to come to the party in the house, well, it was about a few weeks to go to Sudan. That was my first time I met her, and when I walk in, she was natural. She started asking me a lot of questions right away, and she was really interesting with my life, what is going on, where I came from, and what I'm doing, and all this kind of stuff. And she asked me, Salva, have you have any memoir about your life? I said, yes, I have it. And I said, I will give it to you.
In a lot of ways for this book, I felt kind of like the typist, that it was really, Salva's story and Naya's story, and that they were being told to me and I was just typing them. So that was a new experience for me in writing, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's important for readers to learn about Salva in A Long Walk to Water because he is such a role model for them in this way. Salva came to the United States with nothing. He had been separated from his family when he was 11 years old and then lived under terrible conditions in refugee camps for years. Yet now he's doing this incredible thing that's changing the lives of thousands of people. And I want young people to think, he can do something like that. I can do something to make my little corner of the world a better place to live.
And these are my references. There's a lot of different activities on here, as well as videos that students can watch or that teachers can use to help with lessons on this book. This is based on a 5th grade, but you can adapt it anywhere from 4th through 12th grade, depending on what grade you teach. It probably wouldn't be good for any grade below 4th grade, though.